There's a high-stakes arms race happening right now, not on some distant battlefield, but right here on your screen. It's a constant battle between AI that creates these hyper-realistic fakes and the AI that's being built to try and stop them.
So let's just start with a question that honestly gets more complicated every single day. Can you really trust what you see and hear online anymore? Because let's be real, the very idea of digital truth is completely under attack.
And the scale of this is it's staggering. According to the Entrust Cybersecurity Institute, a new deepfake is attempted every 5 minutes. Think about that. This isn't some far-off future problem. It's a relentless flood of fakes happening right now.
So what exactly are we up against here? Let's pull back the curtain on this unseen thread.
Okay, so a deepfake. It's basically AI-generated media that's built to deceive you. It can create these incredibly convincing, but totally fake, videos, images, or audio clips. The whole point is to make it look and sound like someone said or did something they absolutely never did.
And this technology, it's not just some funny internet meme anymore. No, it's turned our digital world into a battlefield, and the consequences are very, very real.
The front lines of this fight are basically everywhere. We're seeing deepfakes being used for really sophisticated bank and insurance fraud, to spread political disinformation, for blackmail, for coercion, and, horrifically, to create fake nude imagery. It's even shaking the very foundations of our justice system, with deepfakes showing up as courtroom evidence.
And this right here, this shows you the devastating human cost. Back in January of 2024, an audio clip of a high school principal supposedly making these awful racist remarks just exploded online. The outrage was instant. He was put on leave, he was getting threats, all while he was desperately insisting the audio was a fake. It took 3 whole months for forensic analysis to finally prove the truth. The school's own athletic director had used AI to frame him. His reputation was nearly destroyed by a complete lie.
In that case, it just perfectly highlights this growing problem in our courts, something people are now calling the deepfake defense. As the American Bar Association points out, lawyers are arguing that juries can't trust any video evidence anymore, because how can you be sure it's real? It creates this terrible situation where it's almost impossible to prove what actually happened.
So yeah, the situation sounds pretty bleak. But here's the good news. Researchers are fighting back. They're creating new weapons of truth to combat all this digital deception.
Now, this defense is basically unfolding on 2 main fronts. On one hand, you have detection. That's all about training AI to spot the little technical glitches and giveaways in a fake. And on the other hand, you have attribution, which is less about spotting fakes and more about proving what's real by tracing a piece of content all the way back to its source.
Detection models, they work by learning the telltale signs of AI manipulation. For a long time, generative AI has really struggled with the fine details. So these detectors are trained to look for things that just seem a little off. Things like unnatural-looking hands or weirdly bent fingers are classic giveaways that your eye might just glance over, but a trained AI can spot in an instant.
Another huge weapon in this fight is something called provenance metadata. The best way to think about it is like a digital birth certificate for any piece of content. It's all this data that gets embedded in the file the second it's created, logging its entire history: who made it, when, where, and even what tools were used.
So here's how it works in practice. First, a camera or an app creates that metadata the very instant a photo is taken. Second, that data gets cryptographically attached to the file itself. Third, some verification tool can then detect and inspect that metadata to see the file's history. And finally, that information is used for labeling, showing you, the user, that the content's origin has been verified. Pretty cool, right?
Now, how this data is attached is absolutely crucial. With what's called hard binding, if you change even a single pixel, that cryptographic link shatters, which proves it's been tampered with. Soft binding is a bit more flexible. It can survive legitimate edits like cropping a photo or compressing a file. But the trade-off is that it's also easier for a bad actor to try and remove it.
So, we have these powerful new tools. But this brings us to a really tough question. Is this whole thing an unwinnable war? I mean, let's just ask it plainly. With all this new technology, is the problem actually solved? And the answer, unfortunately, is no, not even close.
You see, every single weapon we have has a flaw. The detectors that are great at spotting an altered photo, they're often totally useless against an image that was fully generated by AI from scratch. Watermarks can be removed, but here's the real kicker, the central paradox of this entire fight.
The more we open up our detection tools to help people, the more we're also training the bad guys on exactly how to beat them. Every defense we build becomes a public lesson for the offense.
It's just like Dr. Angie Gorbel from the University of Luxembourg puts it. As AI evolves, so must our defenses. This isn't a war with some clear end date. It's a continuous, escalating race between creation and detection.
So, if technology alone can't save us, where do we turn? Well, we turn to our first and probably our last line of defense, us.
And this is where social and community defenses really come into play. On one side, you've got your traditional, expert-led fact-checking groups who investigate claims and add that verified context. And on the other side, you've got these crowdsourced systems like X's community notes, where the users themselves can annotate posts and provide context for each other.
But here's the thing. There is a major trust problem. A YouGov survey found that a whopping 64% of people are not confident in annotations from other users. But it's not just the crowd they doubt. 30% also don't really trust the professional fact-checkers either. This deep-seated skepticism makes it incredibly difficult to establish any kind of trusted authority.
And that really brings us to the most important takeaway in this whole arms race. Technology is only half the battle. The tools are absolutely crucial, but they are never going to be perfect. The ultimate defense against a world of fakes is a critical, informed public that just maintains a healthy sense of skepticism and questions what it sees.
Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. As this technology gets better and better, we have to ask ourselves, in a world where literally anything can be faked, what will it take for us to believe that something is truly real?
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It really helps the channel grow. See you in the next video.